Hello, and welcome to the third 46X Tech Talk. I'm Rene, and I would like to welcome my colleagues, Carolina and Rupus.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. I would like to cover in this Tech Talk talk a bit about SIP, the SIP protocol. Uh, when I talk to developers and somewhat techie people, let's call it like that, they are not quite aware about SIP and what SIP actually is. That sometimes comes as a surprise, but actually, when I think about it, yeah, there is this somewhat complex story behind it. So let's just dive into it. Let's just explain the SIP protocol and what it actually means. So the SIP actually stands for Session Initiation Protocol, which doesn't reveal that much, but actually it is a protocol that has helped us as a company grow and has helped countless companies actually deal with the telephony in a very flexible way. So it helps them actually use telephony as they would use any other protocol in the webs, in the internet. So yeah, the basically what I'm trying to say is it's kind of a open source going at it again and actually helping out the community grow and the market grow. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Have you had any experience with SIP? Have you heard of it before? Have you implemented it before? What is your experience? I'm going to share mine later on.
Maybe I can start because
Yeah, go on.
I don't have that much experience with SIP. I have made phone calls with web RTC, but I haven't done it with SIP. But I know the general idea of SIP and basically just somehow another easier way of making phone calls and for companies to use phone calls in a smoother transitional way. So, for instance, if you have a CRM system, you can just click on a phone number and you can dial up a customer straight away. That's for me is like, wow, how can you do that? So that's my knowledge of Zip.
Rupus, have you had any experience implementing voice features, SIP, with doing stuff like that in your free time, perhaps?
Yeah, as we use SIP when we communicate with operators when we do phone calls. So I've had some experience with debugging when calls don't go as they should, and have recently created the sequence graphs to keep track of many different colleagues between different entities, us and another operator and another operator. That everything goes through. So yeah, I have some experience.
So actually, it's about having that ability, just what you said right now, Carolina, to make a phone call through the browser.
Yeah.
So it is something that kind of allowed that to happen. The technology doesn't actually care about the data layer that we are using. It is actually so if you use any type of if we use dial-up, if we use Wi-Fi or whatever, it will still work. All it needs is to connect between the client and the server, and it will work. So the gist of it all is actually to have that freedom and to control the whole process by ourselves. Yeah. Uh, it makes actually the internet and the communication safer because it has encryption and authentication. Uh, we are talking a bit about SIP. When we talk about SIP, we should mention another protocol. It's called Signaling System 7, SS7. And this was developed back in the 70s, I think, as some sort of a answer to the uh, proto hackers, like they call them phone freaks at the time. And actually, they kind of, I think that was covered in a couple of movies where they used this box to simulate actually that someone is dialing something, and that would be I don't know if I'm going this in the correct way. Rupus or Carolina, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they use some sort of they simulated the dial tones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they knew some codes where they can actually instruct the central place where it all happens to actually do something else. So so that was kind of the point of it all, and it kind of revealed that there before SS7, it revealed that there is no difference between actual voice, so me talking to someone, and the protocol behind the initiation of it all. So that was kind of the point of dividing the two. And SS7 was something that I think they did because of that. So because the hackers pushed them in that direction. And most of the telecom operators still kind of build and model their technology around this uh, around SS7 actually. So that is also quite interesting. I would like to also share. We have a lot of talented colleagues and people that have talked about this before. I'm just going to share a bit about our colleague that has talked about this extensively in Junction 2017. Just give me a sec. It's a live stream. We have to be patient with me. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, this is our colleague Martin. I'm just going to share this in the chat. Okay. I'm going to share this in the chat. So this is actually his talk about the evolution of telephony. It kind of inspired us to talk about this. So we have different kinds of also voice capability that are actually so SIP kind of enabled us to do that and to have all of these voice capabilities within 46 elks. So to make calls and receive phone calls, we have a lot of examples on our webpage, and we ask you to visit and check it out. But the whole point of SIP is actually to have that freedom that it works with other protocols. It's pretty much independent of the media. And really importantly, it doesn't have a dependency on some particular codec. Codec is actually, can you help me, Rupus? Perhaps you can explain a bit what a codec is and what it does in the modulation and stuff like with the voice and.
Yeah, so codec to when you send voice data or any sound, you have to if it's not analog, which is you send just electrical waves, which you can't do digitally. You have to tell the other party how to interpret the data you're sending. So you beforehand say that both parties know one codec. For example, A law is one codec. If both parties know that, they can agree to. The one party will say, "I will send data in A law," and then the other party will know how to decode the codec.
So, yeah, to kind of put it in terms that most people had kind of encountered codecs when they use different movie media types, for example. I'm sure that you did. So there was this message like you cannot play this media file because you are lacking this codec or something like that, and you click on a link and there you go. So what you're telling me actually is that this brings freedom to have no dependency on codecs at all. So you can not agree on having the same codec, and that
Yeah.
kind of simplifies the whole process.
Yeah. The one party can say, these are the codecs I support, and the other party will say, okay, we'll do this codec because I know that one. You can do that all before actually starting the sound.
So I have a question. What do you actually need in order to make a SIP call?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. Rupus, can you answer that?
Yeah, I think so. You pretty much need a internet connection. Pretty much that. If you know, you need to. If you have two regular SIP phones or say computers, you could just establish a TCP connection. The basic building block of where internet builds on top of, and then you send SIP packages back and forth. And the SIP protocol is very simple, so you could pretty much handwrite it. It's text based. It's very readable for humans. So yeah, you could pretty much establish a call by typing your zip packages into your computer and sending it to another computer. Then you have to decode the voice sound stream, which will be more difficult. But just establishing a call with zip is pretty simple.
Okay, you have to have some sort of provider. You have to talk to 46Ls, for example.
Yeah,
for us
though
to provide.
you don't actually need that. You could just connect two computers together, but then you have to know that the other computer is there and what person is there. If you just I want to call this number, then you have to use a provider like us.
Yeah, so because, if I want to call my physical phone, then I have to.
Yes, then we have to. You can't. Well, if you were on Wi-Fi, you could. But if you want to call it with the regular phone network, then you have to use a provider that can communicate with operators.
It's really interesting, though, that it's different ways of making a SIP call. It's not just one. It's who do you want to call and how do you want to call them?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we package it so you don't have to actually do any SIP. You just say that you want to call this phone and connect them, and then it works.
Yeah, I think that most people are, and they should be still unaware of the troublesome sometimes process of actually building that compatibility with the rest of the telecom operators. So Martin has also mentioned that in this YouTube talk that we had linked here. So the point of it all is to have one source where you can actually have this very easy API request, and you can actually have a phone call where you don't have to think about equipment vendors, you don't have to think about the different implementation that someone has done. And let's not forget, there are a few telecom operators in every country. There isn't just one telecom operator in one country. Then you have to be very specific in actually implementing the whole thing. So we kind of save you and help you save time from all of that by simply having use an API call. So that is pretty cool. And so I think that we kind of nailed the SIP session initiation protocol. I don't know if anyone has any questions, would like to ask something now or later on. They are very welcome to ask, and we will try to answer it. But I get the general feel that we have this very good tool in our hands right now, and we can use it to actually bring good to the community, and we are using it in that way. It kind of helps protect our privacy also. It helps us control some things, and we don't have to worry. We can worry a lot less or not worry about our data. So that is a step forward in this whole thing. So SIP, who would tell that in that small acronym you can have all of these wonders. So yeah,
It's a really good tool.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Uh, really cool talk. We should have it again, hopefully next week. Uh, nice talking to you all. If you have any comments or anything to say or share, yeah, cool.
I think we should talk more about voice next time.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there are
cool.
different ways of making phone calls and use voice. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, next time we can talk about a bit more about the actual implementation of it all. It's a very cool technology that I think people perhaps are a bit reluctant to use. I don't know why, but yeah, we should definitely go in that direction. Cool. Uh, thank you for participating. Thank you everyone for watching, and that's pretty much it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.